Hey everyone, I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the feedback on the poll. In this video we are looking at some new r/malicious compliance stories. I hope you enjoy them. The first story is called Look, I Made Friends. A few years ago I was meeting two friends at the county fair. I was running late due to the traffic. The fair is a pretty big deal around here, so I told them to go ahead without me. When I finally got there, I went to the ticket booth to buy a ride pass. For $10 you could get a wristband allowing you unlimited rides. This was a much better deal than getting single ride tickets, which cost $1 each. Except this year something was strange. Usually you could buy just one wristband, no problem. But for some reason the only way to buy them this year was to get two at once. Now, obviously my two friends had bought their wristbands together, so I didn't have a second person to buy one with. I went up to the ticket taker, who looked a lot like a stereotypical entitled person. Short blonde bob, the oversized sunglasses on top of her forehead, the rolls of fat hanging out of her red vest all of the fair workers were wearing. She looked at me and said in the most annoyed voice, "Can I help you?" Yes, I wanted to buy a ride pass, but I don't have a second person to buy it with. Could I just have one wristband? What? Are you telling me you have no friends? Did you seriously come to the fair alone? I didn't come alone. It's just my friends already bought wristbands. That's it? You don't have a sibling, cousin, parent, anything? I find that hard to believe. Yeah, of course I do. They're just not here. And you only have two friends? Maybe if you had more, it wouldn't be a problem. Now go off and make a friend, then you can come back and get a pass. Her attitude really annoyed me, just about as much as this ridiculous new rule. Like, if they could sell you two passes, then what was the problem with selling one? I get it that most people don't go to the fair alone, but what if there was an odd amount of people? I really didn't want this annoying ticket taker to have it her way, so I did just what she said and decided to make a friend. Standing behind me in the ticket line was a pregnant mom and her daughter, about 8 or 9. I was assuming the mother wasn't going to be riding any rides, and they seemed to be giving in and just getting single ride tickets. That's when I got an idea. I pulled the little girl aside and asked her if she would like to get a ride pass. She said yes, and I got back in line with them. Did you make a friend yet? Asked the annoyed ticket taker. I did actually. Me and my new friend here would like to buy a ride pass, I said smirkingly. She stuttered and tried talking back, but there was nothing she could do. The rule stated that the pass had to be bought by two people. It never said that they had to be together or even know each other. The mom and me each paid $10 and took our wristbands. The daughter thanked me and we parted ways. I went to go catch up with my friends and we spent the rest of the day at the fair. I went back to the fair the next day, but this time with my twin sisters, where I discovered a new rule. The passes only lasted one day and new ones had to be purchased every day of the fair. This was annoying, but there was nothing I could do. Of course, there was the same angry ticket taker that was there yesterday. My sisters bought their passes together, and I decided to do the same thing I did the previous day, just to spite her. I turned to the person behind me and offered to buy our passes together since he was in a group of 3 people. He said yes, and we went to the ticket booth. Me and my new friend here would like to buy a ride pass, I said while looking at her with a big grin. Even more annoyed than last time, she took each of our tents and gave us wristbands. Of course, she purposefully ripped mine while tearing apart the sheet of bracelets, but it was still so satisfying to beat her at her own game. The next year, the single-person ride passes were back, because of complaints from people including me. Turns out the fair was just trying to make more money by forcing more people to buy the more expensive single-ride tickets. Their plan didn't work, because of the simple loophole that was used by other people as well. They still had passes for 2 people at a discount, so for my benefit and theirs I would always find a stranger and go to the booth where that annoying lady was. She would always be absolutely mad as I said, "Look, here's my new friend, we would like a ride pass." That seems like a perfect breeding pool for Karen, small location where they can abuse all the minimal power they have. The next story is called Breaking a Dress Code. I broke the dress code in my last film because of shoes. I got called to the carpet for wearing black Skechers to work. So I started coming in every day dressed to the nines. We are talking cufflinks, high quality silk ties, gold face metal band watch, pocket squares, some of the finest pearl ring tips you ever laid eyes on. I got tailored dress shirts and custom suits cut for this. It wasn't cheap. I did this every day, while making sure to casually point out that the very managers who complained about me were wearing cats in the office. This went on for a few months. The interns and staff started dressing like me. We started comparing notes on tie knots and pocket square folds. We got high and tight haircuts with straight razor shaves. We bought badger hair shaving brushes and eucalyptus shaving soap. The partners started getting embarrassed as we were dressing considerably nicer than they cared to. They had a big meeting and declared the entire dress code dead. Jeans, t-shirts, flip-flops, all fair game, unless you had a client meeting. The third story is called 8 Hours to Fix It. So this happened yesterday. I work at a small production plant as a second shift maintenance. Our shift times are pretty standard, 7 to 3, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. At about 11:30 am, one of our machines has a catastrophic meltdown. It blew out of seal on a huge ramp press and sent hydraulic water everywhere. Now, standard practice for us is that we start working on something, and if we can't finish it, the next maintenance man picks up where we left off. I get in for my shift and I'm told I have to get it fixed. It's a two-man job that takes about 4 hours, and the first shift didn't even start it. Now, we need this product to go out for orders, since we are a bit behind because of the holidays. So getting it done is a bit of a priority, and I'm fuming because I got left with all the work to do by myself. Cue malicious compliance. I'm told by my supervisor that the previous maintenance man said to get it done, and that I didn't have an excuse to not have it done, since I had 8 hours. This isn't the first time he's pulled something like this. To be clear, this press nearly destroyed itself when it blew out and broke 14 bolts. So I started working on it, got the gland fixed, then took a break, got the broken bolts out, took a break, got the packing out, took a break. You see where this is going. I spent 7 hours and 40 minutes fixing the machine. We lost an entire shift of production on it because the first shift maintenance wanted to be a prick and tell me, well, you've got 8 hours to do it. So I took nearly the whole 8 hours and felt vindicated the entire time. The next story is called Blame Me for Not Being Available? This happened a few years ago. I used to work at a school. I was pretty young and also a student there. Now the hierarchy at the company was the general manager and the head of the teachers. Let's call him C. The general manager was responsible for all the financial aspects of the school, scheduling of most non-teaching staff and maintenance of school assets. C was responsible for the schedules of the teachers and the receptionists. The company was going through a rough patch, so the board merged the two roles and C was essentially God. I had always reported to both since I was a receptionist but also had other roles. Sometime after this I had to go to a different city for personal reasons. But I wasn't on the schedule for the whole week. I woke up one day and C had left a voicemail at around 3 am asking me to fill in for the receptionist that day since she was unable to make it. I left a voicemail back saying that I wouldn't be able to make it. The next day she sent everyone at the company a mail saying that if they couldn't plan ahead for issues like this one, then they should look for other places to work. He also called me out by name. Now what he didn't realize was that I was a receptionist, so a building maintenance and cleaning dude, accountant, equipment owner and only remaining staff member that knew how the invoicing and tracking software worked. So I typed out my resignation letter and printed it on his personal printer, since I owned the printer. He said he isn't accepting my 2 weeks notice and that I was terminated effective immediately. So I left, took all the computer equipment I owned and blocked all contact from the school. I checked back in a week later to collect a report from my teacher and she hasn't had time to go home, since now the school had no means to track anything, from maintenance schedules to how much the staff had to be paid. C told me he would sue me if I didn't fix everything. I didn't really bother with it, and I'm not sure what happened exactly, but 3 weeks later, the place was shut down and all the assets on Leanne. I feel bad for the students I screwed over and everyone else there. But screw that idiot that doesn't understand his own job and blames me for not being available on my off days. The last story is called Think About Rules Before You Set Them. Many years ago, when I was around 16 or 17, my parents allowed me to smoke in the garden. But they would not allow me to have an ashtray to put my cigarette in for whatever reason. The only reason I knew was that they didn't want me to destroy the aesthetic of the garden, which was already a hole. And they were pretty anti-smoking too, so that was potentially another reason. Anyway, I asked them where they wanted me to put my cigarettes. The only response I got was, "Put them wherever you like, we are not having an ashtray in that garden." This was absolutely comical. You literally don't want an ashtray in that garden, but you are happy to have butts strewn all over the place? Sure, that's fine, however, I'm not the kind of person to throw cigarettes on the floor. Now, I have always had a creative flair, and I thoroughly enjoy art. So I decided I was going to collect my cigarettes in a little jar and hide that jar behind a bush. I moved it now and then to lessen the chances of its discovery. I was still following the rules because technically a jar isn't an ashtray. They forgot about it and moved on with their lives. After about 6 months of collecting cigarettes, I had collected loads. My parents went on holiday for 2 weeks. When they came back, I had constructed a no smoking sign and a thank you for not smoking underneath it. All out of the cigarette butts I had collected. They came home to find that, and my mom let out the loudest gasp I ever heard. My dad chased me around the garden with a bit of wood, but that's okay, we laugh about it now. Anyway, rules should really be thoroughly thought out before they are set. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe, and if you have time, watch another of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.